I think I'm in love with you. Yep, Debra Morgan actually said that. To her brother. Wait, what? This moment didn't just shock fans. It divided them. Was it a complete character collapse? Or the final piece in a disturbing puzzle? Because if you look closely, really closely, this wasn't random. It was building, for years. So, was Debra Morgan just broken? Or is she one of the most disturbing characters in Dexter? Let's talk about it. To understand how we ended up with that confession scene, we need to go back. Not all the way to the shipping container, but close. Debra and Dexter didn't grow up as typical siblings. She wasn't his sister by blood, but that doesn't change what they were to each other. From day one, Debra idolized Dexter. Not just in a "my big brother is cool" kind of way. She needed him. Harry was emotionally unavailable, cold, controlling. He gave Dexter all the attention, all the structure, all the purpose, and left Debra grasping for scraps. So what did she do? She chased that same validation. She joined Miami Metro. She wanted to be like him. She wanted to be seen by him. And maybe that's where it all started. Emotional dependency, idolization, and eventually, obsession. Sound like a stretch? Not really. Psychologists call this emotional incest. It's when a parent, or sibling, becomes the primary source of emotional intimacy in a way that crosses boundaries even without physical contact. And Debra crossed that line. Hard. Let's be honest. Debra Morgan is not subtle. But when it came to Dexter's love life, her reactions were often a little off. Remember Lila? Debra hated her. Lumen? She was weirdly protective. And Hannah McKay? Full-blown sabotage mode. Sure, you could argue that Debra was just being a concerned sister, but at some point, concern turns into control, and control turns into obsession. She didn't just hate Dexter's girlfriends, she resented them, because they were getting what she couldn't admit she wanted: his full attention, his vulnerability, his emotional intimacy. And let's not forget, when she walked in on Dexter and Lumen after one of their kills, she didn't just look shocked, she looked heartbroken. Still not convinced? Let's go to the moment that shattered everything. Season 6. Therapy session. Debra's sitting in the office, clearly uncomfortable, and she drops it. "I think I'm in love with my brother." Even the therapist flinched. This wasn't hinted. This wasn't subtle. This was the show slapping the audience across the face. But why now? Why this moment? Because Debra's emotional walls had completely crumbled. She had just witnessed Dexter kill Travis Marshall. She was reeling. And suddenly, every suppressed feeling, every unexplained emotion came rushing to the surface. This wasn't a new crush. It was a slow-burn train wreck years in the making. And the fandom lost its mind. Forums exploded. Reddit melted. Viewers argued over whether this was brilliant character development or the most WTF moment in television history. But it didn't end there. Now here's where things get really murky. Dexter never told Debra he loved her. Not in the way she wanted. Not in the way that would have made her twisted confession feel less one-sided. But he also never stopped her. He never shut it down. He didn't freak out. He didn't pull away. He didn't say, "Deb, this isn't normal." Instead, he just stood there, cold, controlled, watching. And that silence, it spoke volumes. Because Dexter, true to who he is, doesn't feel emotions the way most people do. He analyzes them, observes them, uses them. And in this case, Debra's feelings weren't just some uncomfortable revelation to avoid. They were leverage, emotional armor, a built-in safety net. He knew Debra's love for him, however uncomfortable, made her dangerously loyal. She wouldn't expose him. She wouldn't arrest him. She wouldn't even question him too hard. Because love makes people protect the very thing that's destroying them. And Dexter, for all his sociopathic detachment, understood that better than anyone. Did he love her back? Probably not. Not in the way she hoped. But Dexter did need her. Not emotionally, strategically. And that's the darkest part of all. He didn't return her love, but he fed off it. He let her spiral. He let her cross lines. He let her burn down her own moral compass just to keep his secret intact. And here's the real kicker. By not rejecting her, Dexter validated her feelings. Passively, but powerfully. He gave her just enough room to keep believing there might be something there. That's not just manipulation. That's calculated emotional exploitation. And it makes you wonder, was Dexter ever protecting Debra? Or was he just protecting himself, no matter the cost to her sanity? Because if love is supposed to set you free, this one chained her tighter. Fast forward to one of the most shocking, irreversible moments in Dexter's entire run. The moment Debra Morgan pulled the trigger and killed Maria LaGuerta, a fellow cop, her superior. A woman who, regardless of her politics, wasn't a murderer, but someone chasing the truth. Let that sink in. LaGuerta wasn't some shady criminal. She wasn't Dexter's next victim for a reason. She was doing her job, following the evidence. And that evidence led her straight to Dexter. She wasn't wrong. She was just inconvenient. And Debra chose to silence her. This wasn't heat-of-the-moment panic. It was a calculated choice. She could have arrested Dexter. She could have let the truth play out. She could have walked away. But instead, she aimed her gun and shot an innocent woman through the chest. Why? Because in that split second, Debra chose Dexter over everything else. Over justice, over the law, over herself. It wasn't just loyalty. It was emotional implosion. Years of suppressed feelings, confusion, and blind devotion converging into one horrifying act. This wasn't a cop making a tough call. This was a woman losing her identity in the name of someone who could never give her what she wanted. And what did Dexter give her in return? A blank stare, a half-hearted hug, and silence. No gratitude, no guilt. No sign that he understood the enormity of what she had just done for him. Because to Dexter, Debra's sacrifice wasn't noble. It was necessary. It kept him alive. It removed a threat. And that was all that mattered. So while Debra's world unraveled, Dexter's stayed intact. She crossed a moral line she could never come back from. And the only person who truly saw it happen didn't even flinch. That's not love, that's erasure. Some fans argue that this plotline was forced, that it was a weird decision to throw in late in the show. But let's be real. The writers left crumbs all over the place. Debra's emotional breakdowns, her inability to maintain relationships, her fixation on Dexter's approval. It all pointed in one direction. And when she finally confessed, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was a tragedy waiting to happen. Debra Morgan didn't die a hero. She died a cautionary tale. No blaze of glory, no last-minute redemption. Just a slow, tragic unraveling that ended with her body in a hospital bed, lifeless, voiceless, powerless, while the man she sacrificed everything for stood over her and made the final call to pull the plug. Dexter. And not as her brother, not as someone mourning a sister's death, but as a man making a calculated decision to end her pain and dispose of her the same way he handled so many others before her. Let's be clear, Debra didn't just happen to die. Her death was the result of years of emotional collapse, boundary violations, and unreciprocated devotion. Her love for Dexter, twisted and obsessive as it was, led her down a path that stripped away everything she stood for. Her badge, her moral code, her identity, and when she finally broke, when everything she believed in crumbled, the show didn't grant her catharsis. It gave her silence, emptiness, a death not earned but inflicted. And the worst part? It was predictable. Not because she was weak, but because she was loyal. So loyal, in fact, that it killed her. She carried Dexter's burden so long that it became hers. And in the end, when her body failed her, the man she thought she loved didn't save her. He ended her. The confession? Shocking. The jealousy? Uncomfortable. The murder? Morally devastating. But her death, cold, quiet, and entirely thankless, is what truly cements her tragedy. Because Debra Morgan didn't just die. She disappeared inside a story that was never about her. Her love was never returned. Her sacrifices never honored. Her downfall never mourned. And that, more than anything, is what makes this story so hard to swallow. She didn't just lose her life, she lost herself. So, was Debra Morgan disgusting? Some of you probably clicked on the video expecting to hate her, to roast her, to laugh at her trauma. But here's the thing, she's not just disgusting, she's human, messy, broken, emotionally raw, and tragically devoted. Does that make her behavior okay? Absolutely not. But maybe, just maybe, it makes her one of the most heartbreakingly real characters in Dexter's entire universe. So now I want to ask you, was Debra Morgan disgusting or just doomed? Was she a victim of her upbringing or did she willingly cross every line? And most of all, if you were in her shoes, would you have done the same? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.